G'day guys, the big superhero blockbuster event of the year is finally here. So let's put all those expectations and theories to rest and dive into my thoughts on the real thing, Spider-Man No Way Home. Coming into this movie, I was cautiously optimistic. Because whilst the geeky superhero loving side of me was really excited by all the possibilities and seeing Spider-Man and Doctor Strange interact again, the objective, critical eye, cinephile in me had pause. Let's be real, there is a lot being thrown into this movie, and it could have easily become a jumbled mess. Thankfully, it's not. So let's start the review with the positives. And if you're new to the channel, the beginning of the review will contain no spoilers. I'll then give my verdict and recommend if it's worth seeing or not. Then I'll dive into all those juicy spoilers that I'm sure you're eager to hear my thoughts on. Oh, and I have thoughts. Jon Watts directed this movie as he did with Homecoming and Far From Home. And in his evolution as a filmmaker, there is definitely plenty of dazzling spectacle on display. The fast pacing keeps the narrative constantly moving, which means you as a viewer are always engaged. This is an exciting Spidey adventure with stakes you will care about. Tom Holland's Spider-Man makes important choices and his actions have compelling consequences. That's the sign of a great story, is if your protagonist is actively involved in the events around them. Is stuff happening to Peter? Or is Peter making stuff happen? Peter Parker is compelled to always do what is right, even though it might not be in his best interest or what he wants to do. But what makes Spider-Man a great hero that fans love so much is not only that he's relatable with his teenage struggles, but that he stands up for what he believes. Because even when the mob, the press, and the whole world tell you to move, your job is to plant yourself like a tree beside the river of truth and tell the whole world, no, you move. The acting across the board is great. Tom Holland is amazing as usual, but who steals the show to no one's surprise is Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin. What a maniacal villain he has brought back to life after all these years. Just as good as it was before. And that too goes for Alfred Molina as Otto Octavius. Jamie Foxx as Electro is upgraded massively from his amazing Spider-Man 2 appearance, and the other villains that make an appearance, such as Sandman and the Lizard, are suitably entertaining as well. My only clear con though, after my first viewing, is with Sandman himself. He is the only character in the film who has unclear motivations. Everyone else though has clear intentions of what they want and they all follow through with them. The movie gets emotional at all the right moments, but when it needs to, it gets really sincere. I would confidently say this is a celebration of 3 generations of Spider-Man franchises, and it adds yet another captivating twist to the ever-changing MCU narrative. One aspect I did find underwhelming was the action sequences. The fights are suitably entertaining, but they're good, not great. My last piece of criticism, and I don't think many people will be surprised with this, but this movie does throw in some fan service that is there more in service of pleasing the fans than it is in service of communicating a great story. But it is incredibly rewarding nonetheless. Fans will get everything they want from Spider-Man No Way Home. A very exciting adventure that showcases why Spider-Man is such a great hero that inspires so many. I would definitely recommend seeing Spider-Man No Way Home as it is a good movie in my opinion. So many twists and turns and plenty of exhilarating moments that Spidey fans will enjoy. Now is the time for spoilers. If you have not yet seen this movie, go away and watch it, then come back and join the discussion in the comments below. This is your spoiler warning. With months of denial, rumours, and leaks, we as fans can finally say for certain, after all this time, the OG himself, Tobey Maguire, and the at the time miscast, but now beloved Andrew Garfield are indeed reprising their roles as Spider-Man in the MCU officially, in Spider-Man No Way Home. This movie shows its appreciation for the past in exciting ways that will for certain give fanboys and girls around the world something to cheer about. My midnight screening of the film, here in Australia, erupted when these iconic actors came on screen as these amazing heroes that they once played. Seeing the older version of Tobey step through the portal, older and wiser and still shooting organic web fluid. Seeing Andrew bruised and weathered after all the challenges he's faced fighting crime. It was rewarding to see in the MCU proper. Their characters don't really have fleshed out, fulfilling character arcs, but they do bring the thrills and the jokes that make their involvement well worth it. They're glorified cameos, but with a fan base so convinced that they were showing up in this movie, I feel it had to happen. And thankfully, it did. So many great callbacks and nods to those original films, such as Andrew saving MJ just like he failed to do with Gwen Stacy. A great redeeming moment. And I also appreciate that they didn't steal away the spotlight from Tom Holland. At the core of this story is Tom Holland, and he is driving it along all the way through, which is what it should be. I loved watching the Spider-Men on screen together, both in dialogue and in battle. Like I said earlier, I think the action could have been way cooler considering the heroes we've got on screen, but it was good enough. Also, this movie is made by some clever filmmakers. They include just enough fan service, but not too much for it to become overbearing. The Spider-Man pointing meme has been spoken about for ages now, and their live action adaptation of that was clever, hilarious, and worth it. Also, I loved everything with J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. Now, I need to address the Matt Murdock cameo at the beginning of this film. I'm a massive fan of the Netflix Daredevil series. It is undoubtedly the best superhero television show ever created. It is a show made by artists who understand their craft and know how to make Daredevil enthralling. Seeing Charlie Cox reprise his role in the Marvel Cinematic Universe officially was amazing, and something I've wanted for a long time. In saying that, whilst I enjoyed seeing him pop up, that's all it is, just a cameo. There is no story to be had between dual identity vigilantes Peter Parker and Matt Murdock. This was disappointing, as I wanted to see Matt collaborate with Peter to clear Spider-Man's name. But it is clear that this aspect of the film was not the main focus of the narrative. Peter gets his name cleared really quickly actually, and it's more the aftermath this movie's plot deals with. So whilst I'm glad Charlie Cox is back as the Man Without Fear, I'm disappointed it was just a cameo and no larger story thread. Also, that Venom post-credit scene, loved it. For those who don't know, I do not like the Venom movies, and when they revealed that Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock had transported over into the MCU, I was not impressed. However, in saying that, not only is he not in this movie, but he shows up briefly only to be taken back to his universe. Good, now Tom Hardy can fuck off back to his universe, and now we can get Venom interact with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, hopefully in a really cool way. I love this because he leaves a sliver of the symbiote behind, which means we can get a proper version of Venom that is actually intimidating instead of goofy. The storytelling potential is far more interesting than anything Tom Hardy has going on in his spin-off franchise. And we might as well talk about the ending of this movie. I loved it. It has set the perfect foundation for Tom Holland to transition from Spider-Boy to Spider-Man. He is his own man now, all on his own, with no one to rely on. No Stark, no Fury, no Strange, no Aunt May. He is officially Spider-Man with the responsibilities of adulthood fast approaching him. The final moments really reminded me of Peter Parker from the PlayStation game. That is something I would love to see more of. Peter as Spider-Man relying on himself. The new suit looks just like the classic comic book blue and red suit, which I love so much. And I am so incredibly eager for another Spider-Man trilogy with Tom Holland at the forefront. What I think this franchise needs is a change in the director seat and a more mature tone moving forward. I loved this ending and I can't wait for what's next. And to think that we might never have got this if Disney and Sony never got back together to reshare the movie distribution rights for this character. But yeah, what a time to be alive as a Spider-Man fan. What were your thoughts, guys, on Spider-Man No Way Home? Let me know and I'll join you in the comments below. And if you did enjoy this review, I'd appreciate if you hit that like button. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you are subscribed and have that notification button turned on so you never miss out on a video. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys in another video real soon.